Good afternoon. This is the September 30th edition of the Police Station Building Committee, and it looks like it may be the ultimate, the last one. So we have a quorum. This meeting is called to order. And first on the agenda, we have the December 18th, 2023 minutes. Any questions or concerns on those minutes? Anybody remember that meeting? No?
I make a motion that we approve the minutes.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the December 18th, 2023 meeting minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So voted unanimously. Next, since we are dissolving this committee, we have to authorize the Select Board to approve these meeting minutes of September 30th, 2024. Do we have a motion for that?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to authorize the Select Board to approve the meeting minutes of September 30th, 2024. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So voted unanimously. Hi, Justine. Item number 3, we have bills to pay. We have 3 items. Fontaine Brothers, $90,634. Construction Monitoring Services, $20,000. And Tecton Architects, $3,520, for a total of $114,154 and 0 cents. Any questions around those bills? There being none, do we have a motion?
Make
So
a
moved.
motion we pay the bills.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to pay the following bills as previously listed for a total of $114,154. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So voted unanimously. Thank you, everybody. And now we're on to the reports. First, we have Neil up from Construction Monitoring Services. Good afternoon, Neil.
Thanks, Pat. My comments will really be brief. We did prepare a final updated budget reflective of the bills authorized today, inclusive of dollars paid out in the past. We are happy to report that we will be returning just shy of $320,000 in unspent contingency back to the town. And then on the communications project, our calculations showed just shy of $44,000 returned as unspent contingencies. I'll be happy to take any other questions the committee has on the budget.
Questions? Seems pretty clear cut at this point. We made it anyway.
We did.
Sure.
Does that include the landscaping, unspent contingencies?
So everything, that's everything paid, complete. I should note also that that anticipates the expenditure of the $416,000 previously authorized, by the committee for the benefit of the Selco Police Department solar project as well. Those dollars, as I understand, have not actually been spent, but we're reflecting them that they'll be fully encumbered and expended at a later date.
Thanks, Neil.
Sorry, thank you.
Kevin?
So if I go back to the 12-15-23 budget, which was our last meeting, 12-18, we authorized $118,000. Can you just help me understand how we get from that bottom line of 1.1 to this bottom line of 319 this evening?
I'm sorry, Kevin?
So if I go back and look at the last time we met was December 18th, 2023.
Yep.
And at that evening, this budget report had a balance of, just for the police department, $1,178,484. It does certainly include the 416 that was in, for the solar aspect of it. So set that aside. Let's call it $700 some thousand. We approved $118,000 in other expenditures since that last meeting, just through a motion earlier. Can you just give me a quick summary of how we get from that other $300,000 or so,
So there were several requisitions that were paid
Okay.
through the process of the spring. There were furniture, fixtures, and equipment invoices that have been paid, final commissioning invoices. There were several invoices that have been paid out of project funds that were budgeted and expected to be expended that were done since our last meeting.
Okay. But those didn't need approved by the committee. Those had
Right.
previously been approved by
That's
the committee.
correct.
Okay.
They were within budgets
Got it.
and expected, excuse me, to be expended, yes.
Thank you.
Done.
Did any of this contingency money include, I just can't recall, a fencing along the drive into to get to the parking lot we paid for? You know what I'm saying? Guardrail.
In the park?
Mhm.
No.
We did secure that.
Not from this
Not from the
funding?
project.
Okay.
Yep.
I didn't know if it came from here. Okay. Are we getting that
Yes.
soon?
We received the money through the state earmarks through this budget, so we'll have to spend it by next June 30th. So, yeah, we'll probably do the work in the spring.
Okay.
Anything else for Neil? I don't see anything. Thanks, Neil.
Thank you.
Next, we have a report from Matt from Tecton Architects. Good afternoon, Matt.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good to see you all here. I felt it appropriate that we put together a quick slideshow. Really, I don't have a report of any new business, but I figured it'd be appropriate to put a slideshow together of the project's history, a little bit of where we came to where we ended up here this fall. So we started this project, I believe, Chief would have more history on it, started way back before 2020, but 2020 is where I start working with you all on this endeavor. We started, this was just 4.5 years ago, just analyzing the buildings you have on this campus and seeing what the greatest need was, in which we determined, or the town determined, that the police station was the most important need. There she was, remember that? Wow. Beauty. And this project, most of the design work, for the first time in my career and of just about anybody that practices architecture around the world, was done so remotely. I remember meeting you all folks for the first time in person, I think like 1.5 years after we started this process. And this was one of the first master plans that we put together that was sketched on my dining room table and then scanned with my cell phone and presented to all you. I want to commend you and thank you for the trust that you put in our team for being able to deliver a project so unconventionally, because it was very strange times that we were in, yet we persevered and came out with something exceptional as a result of that, and it doesn't come without all of our combined hard work and effort. So, and it didn't look as good as it did when we first showed you guys a couple of renderings. Again, our first pass at some of these designs not only tests the committee and their willingness to push back against our design, but to really help us make the character of the architecture fit with the community. And I'm glad we didn't stay here and we moved along to where we ended up, but there was a lot of meetings and a lot of discussion that went into creating what you have today versus what we had initially presented. This was what we had taken to Fall Town Meeting back in 2020 as well. And this is what the town approved for us to move forward with, and we refined the design along the way since, but it was step by step that got us to where we are today. And again, the final site plan that was presented in June of 2021, just before we broke ground. So just 3 years ago, we hadn't broken ground, and here we are today within the building. So it was an expeditious process. It moved along at a really fast pace, but an appropriate pace. And you all put a really good team together that allowed this to happen so seamlessly. And of course, the final rendering of what it was going to become in June of 2021. And then we broke ground in July, clearing the site. It certainly looked a lot different before this and certainly looks a lot different now. I told Kristen Laz at the time that every time I do a new building, there's always a moment in the beginning of construction where I take a deep breath and go, what did we just do? This was that moment for me on this project. It's not every day that we take down a number of trees to build a building, but I think now that you see it sited within this municipal campus, that it really does feel like it belongs here. September 3rd of '21 was the groundbreaking. And then later that fall in October, Kristen, Keith, myself, and Chief, we went to Assabet Valley Regional High School and met with the students there to embark on the design and creation of the 9/11 Memorial, which was a phenomenal process. Just a few months later, we had the topping off ceremony, the completion of the erection of steel. And again, this is only 7 months after we had presented the initial, or the final site design that was approved. So a testament to the Fontaine brothers and their ability to deliver on a project and start construction ahead of the documents and do so seamlessly. Here we are in March of 2022, just starting to close the building in. And then just a few months later in July, a majority of the building was enclosed, the brick was done, the precast was up, we were getting ready for curtain wall, windows were in, and the interior was starting to be fit out. November of 2022, the interior was coming along. This was right after the terrazzo and the lobby had been finished. And then February of '23, this training room that we're in today was starting to take shape. This was just before we were ready to open the building, just a few weeks before the building was occupied. That following month in March, about a year and a half ago, the building was complete. The PD moved in and started to spend the next 6 months living mere steps away from their old building as it was demolished. And then later that year, September 11th and the 12th, we had the revealing of the 9/11 memorial that the students had put together. Really moving, beautiful ceremony. And then the following day was the building dedication here. Really great couple of events the town put together, and having opened a number of buildings and seeing, 10 or 12 politicians and nobody else attend, knowing that hundreds and thousands of people came through these doors to see the progress and the success of this project was really moving and really touching for us as designers. It's not something that we get to enjoy every day. And then here we are today with the completed project and all the site work done and complete. I can honestly say on behalf of Tecton, our partners, that it's been a real honor and true pleasure working with all of you on this project. And thank you for having us be a part of it.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you for all your time, expertise on this project. Really made a difference.
Appreciate that.
It's great for our community and the department. We're very grateful. And I thank everyone else on the committee. I want to thank you all. It's been a interesting ride, but it came out great. We're very happy.
It really did. Any questions for Matt or comments? Anything else? No, I'd also like to thank you, Matt, and, the whole team. It's just been phenomenal. It's been a great experience for me, and so much so that I've moved on to another project, so.
It is addictive. I will know one point of business that isn't complete yet. The lead certification is in USGBC's hands right now, so we're just waiting for them to close the loop on that review process.
Okay. Do we anticipate that being just a rubber stamp?
Well, we hope so, but you never
Yeah.
know with the USGBC.
Okay. Donna?
Matt, you called it an exceptional building, and it really is, and the community has embraced that. Some people are still riding by trying to figure out how we could get such an exceptional building, but for that, I think the whole group should be commended. It's a beautiful building.
Thank you.
Okay. Keith?
I was going to wait until after Ryan to speak, so.
All right, very good. Well, why don't we move on to Ryan then, from Fontaine Brothers?
So just a quick update, since we last met, we've been addressing any of the deficiencies that were found in the building once the department moved in, helping them make any adjustments that have been required since then, and getting the landscaping out in front and the Apollo Park area and everywhere else up to the standard that we expect to leave the town of Shrewsbury in. Other than that, just like to say thank you to the whole committee. It's been a pleasure working with you all. I was really happy after finishing up the Beal School to be able to spend another 2 years in the town of Shrewsbury, and hope that we can continue to do more work together. It's been a pleasure. So that's all, short and sweet. I don't have a whole slide deck like Matt does. But
So did I just hear
So
him
you-
say he wants to move to Shrewsbury?
I think there was also an opening, I think he said landscape, so.
Landscape.
I don't want you, if you have a question for Ryan.
My only question with the landscaping is everybody satisfied now with, I know you've done an awful lot of work cleaning up the things that loose ends.
yeah, and there was also some other parts at play with it too. We reused all the existing topsoil that was in the wooded area, and there was some amendments that we didn't previously add that, I don't want to call it we overlooked, but we needed to supplement the soil that was there to give it the proper nutrients and do some other things to make sure that there wasn't any issues with compaction or anything like that moving forward. So, after a lot of rigorous work this spring and just getting into the fall planting season now, I think we're a lot happier with how it looks compared to what it did. So,
It looks much better.
Yeah.
And they will, I could see them out there every day
yeah.
doing more finishing touches. My question about the rain garden, is it the way it's supposed to look to you?
Yeah, so there's a level of a natural look as well as some refined edges. So I believe the intent with those is you trim them down in the fall, and then they're perennials, I think is the right term for that, so they'll grow back in the spring. So it's just a yearly maintenance like any other garden area does. But I think just the general intent of it is to kind of, instead of just having an open water area, more of a naturalized look.
Would you give any suggestions to, as you pull into the back parking lot on the left, any suggestions on what we could do to enhance that area?
I think the tough part about that is you want to make sure that as you have as much line of sight as possible for the officers that are coming out of
Right.
that driveway in an
Yeah.
emergency. So you don't want it to become too dense there.
So I'm looking even further back and off to the side. I don't know if it's supposed to have that natural look, or do you think we should
So
do anything?
That, as it was shown in the original documents, was supposed to be left a little bit more natural, but based on where Selco wanted to bring in the primary power for that, we actually did some additional clearing early on in the project, and so there's a 3-4 foot wide trench that's encased in concrete with all the primaries running through there. So you don't want to plant big maple, oak trees, stuff like that on top of it that are,
Right.
then
Roots.
not that you're going to have a problem with the primary power at that point. But so I mean, you could add something. I'm not the expert at that, so I'm just getting my different planting terms down. So
Well,
in the scheme of
I
construction,
think it looks so much better this fall,
yeah,
and it maybe just needed more time, and like you said, more,
some supplemental
Yeah.
habits. Yeah.
Thanks, Ryan. I guess my only question is on the 9/11 memorial. I remember the base initially
Yeah,
was too small.
we have an extension plan for that. It's just getting the pieces.
So that hasn't been done yet?
Nope.
Okay,
Yeah,
but it's on the
that-
list.
Yeah, we're gonna adjust that this.
Okay, great.
Yep.
and now, did you put the stuff between the bricks?
Yeah, so they have done multiple, weedings and the polymeric sand with the
Okay.
bricks out front. It's just that style of installation's tough because if you look at the bricks, they're super tight together, so it's only like a 1/16 of an inch joint there. So like other landscaping things, it's one of the, ongoing maintenance items that is hard to avoid.
And you replaced the trees,
Yep.
so that looks nice too.
Yeah, so all the trees that were identified by the landscape architect were replaced. There was an issue with a couple varieties that were noted across, so all of these trees did come from Bigelow Nursery right down the road. So, they reviewed that and discussing with them, they thought it was something specific with the group of trees they got in the fall of last year's planting. So they didn't think it was something, in previous projects we've switched out species because over multiple seasons we've had issues with them. They didn't think that the honey locust was gonna be that same issue there.
Keith?
So I don't have any questions, because I've asked you plenty recently, or over the past 3 years, 4 years, wherever we're at now. But I just want to tell all of you, I really appreciate your work on this and your collaboration on this throughout the entire process. I'm probably not the easiest person on this side of the table for you to deal with, because I deal with you on a regular basis. So, I appreciate all of your work. Matt, for example, there were multiple times that, even through the feasibility study process, you and Jeff would put a plan together, they'd send it over, we would say no, and you would make changes on the fly, right? I really appreciate that, and working through the whole process. And I think, you've worked very well with CMS and Fontaine through the entire process to make sure that the building and the police department gets what they need, within our budget. And Fontaine, you kept the budget where it was supposed to be, and we appreciate that. You've shown that on projects that you've done for this community, and, been a great partner, and even the bills are all paid, and Ryan knows that, we're still working on a few things, and I'm confident that we'll get those done. And Neil, your guidance through this process has been very good also. We appreciate that, and appreciate to continue, it was a fun project for me. I got to be in it from day one right to the end, and so thank you for that.
Well said. I couldn't agree more. Kevin?
So, Select Board Member Conlon is not feeling well, she couldn't be here this evening, so just on behalf of the board, I wanted to extend their thanks, and myself, of course. This is a phenomenal building that we're really proud of, and I know we'll be proud of it for decades to come, so that's the important thing of the work we do. It spans generations, and this will stand the test of time, so I appreciate everyone's work on that, and look forward to the opportunity to work with you guys in the future at any point.
Thanks, Kevin. All right. Moving on. Item number 5, review and act to ratify the final project budget, which I guess totals out to $36,680,383, or 99.1% of $37 million. Any questions? Do we have a motion?
Move we approve?
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the final project budget as just stated by me. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? So voted unanimously. Thank you again, everybody. Any other business? Nobody? It's all been said. Thank you again, everybody. It's been
Thank you.
a terrific experience. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everybody.